What's going on, Running Back Academy family? It's Coach Jerry Seymour here. I got Coach Ayinde Bomani. Coach, please forgive me if I slaughtered your name. He's
Man,
with Run
trust
to
me,
Daylight.
ain't a bad thing. You ain't gonna
Yeah.
be the thousandth person that ever done it, so don't worry
Hey,
about
hey, I just want the Running Back Academy family to know that this is my guy. He's a big time inspiration for me because about 5 years ago, man, I watched the drills on YouTube and I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to coach running backs and the drills that he was doing, which is crazy and innovative and just really, really just ahead of time. And here we are just kind of talking, man. And I'm 5 years in the game, coach. I know you've been in the game for a while. And I just want my viewers, on the Running Back Academy side, family, to kind of get to know you and what you do.
I definitely appreciate it, man. I want to also say you're one of my favorite trainers slash coach that I
Yes,
see
sir.
a lot of running back coaches, but sometimes it make you like, why are you doing that drill like that? Reminds me when I first used to, in 2009 when I started, when I go back and watch those videos on YouTube, I'm like, I want to smack the coach because I'm like, what is he doing? But of course, you always get better as long as you don't stay where you started. But I like to
Right.
say, I always thought your drills was dope. I thought we
Appreciate
get
it.
along because we think similar. We
Right.
have the similar, when we say that, when we try to say things that will translate to the athlete,
Correct.
we always kind of come around, sound like the same person. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I
Right.
definitely appreciate the work you do.
Well, coach, just because I know you're based out of Cali. What part of Cali are you based out of?
I'm in Chatsworth. That's like 20 minutes outside of LA. It's just like a suburb outside of LA. We're
Hmm.
still a LA county, but it's
Yeah.
just outside of LA.
I got you. I got you. Now let me ask you this. When did you first get I know you say you was from Pittsburgh area and then you kind
Yeah.
of moved though. Kind of give me a little rundown about how you just ended up in LA and then training running backs.
Yeah. Well, okay. Long story, make it short, a little shorter, not going to be short. But I went to West Virginia University,
Okay.
and then whatever reason happened, I stopped playing football to do music.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So one of my friends, Mailman, who produced for Dr. Dre, he did the Chronic. He came up to West Virginia because I was up there with Major Harris. We was all from Pittsburgh. He brought a
Wow.
drum machine. So I was like, oh, let me play with that. So the whole week he was there, I was messing with the drum machine. Once Mel left, I was hooked. I was like, oh man, I actually stopped playing football, got into making music, whatever. And then when I moved to I moved to Atlanta
Hmm.
and I started doing music. And so I got on with the Face record company, but I had a sample they couldn't clear, so the record never came out.
Wow.
So Mel moved to LA. He's like, man, come to LA, forget rapping, become a producer. And I'm thinking, stop rapping and be a producer.
Right.
Meanwhile, Dr. Dre was a producer, of course, but he never gave the other producers credit.
Hmm.
So I was like, I can't be behind the scenes. I'm an out front type of dude,
Right.
right? But then some said just move. So I moved out here. So 2000, I did a song for P Diddy called "That's Crazy" with Black Rob, and it even had Snoop and Missy Elliott on the remix.
Correct.
I'm thinking I'm all football. Next thing you know, I mean all music. Next thing you know, I met this chick and her son was playing football. So I went to a game. He fumbled like twice. He was upset. And I was like, well, hey, just to have meet him. I said, hey man, I can train, but I forgot all the stuff I learned in football. So
Right.
I called my boy Major Harris. I called all the people I knew. I said, hey man, remember, man, just get on the internet and read. At the time, I didn't even have a computer. I'm like, get on the internet. It's 2000.
Right.
I didn't really have a computer. So then I just started coaching youth football. And then I started getting on the computer. And then the more I would know, I realized not every football coach knows anything about football.
Right.
And a
Right.
lot
Right.
of people, they coach what they learned 20, 30 years ago. We know football is like computers. It changes every 6 months. So if you on something 3 years ago, you're kind of going to be late.
Right.
So
Right.
I ended up going to this school called Chaminade,
Hmm.
and the coach was a kinesiologist. Now, his coaching method was to break everything down, break every
Yeah.
muscle down.
Biomechanically. Yeah.
He was basically into that East Sherman, how he would lift and everything. So I thought it was interesting. So once he took us to Oregon, I started learning how Oregon would train because everybody wanted to go to Oregon. People they have to realize Oregon don't always have the greatest athletes because it's
Right.
like a gray city. Like we like the uniforms, but a lot of kids don't really. It ain't someplace you want to go and it ain't a college town.
Right.
So, but they were really good at working the muscles needed for the movement.
Right.
So then I start learning. I start trying to teach in a biochemic way of just breaking down, muscles. And this is how you do it. If if you strengthen the muscle, you'll make the kid get better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I started my camp 2009. A lot of kids came. The first camp I had like 40 kids. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I was like, I had no idea. And mind you, I didn't really charge anybody. My girlfriend, who's an accountant, she's like, you gotta charge. I said, listen, just take the money. I promise I'll get you enough money and buy you another pair of your 10th black shoes or whatever. You know how women, they want 1,000 pair of black shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was it, 2009. 4 years from that date, 4 of those kids got Division I scholarships. So of course I was feeling like Uncle Coach, like, you know, and I want to help kids even more. So I basically started in 2009, and then a lot of people offered me to field. Like I had 4 fields to go to. I was like, man, this is better than music. And music, yeah, if you was popular in music, people will let you use this studio for free, whatever. Now, translate that to football. I got 4 fields I could use. I'm like, wow, I got 4 fields. And then of course I was like, well, I took the one that was the closest and I built from there. And you know, I just try to get better. You know what I mean? And then I started filming. Somebody was like, you should film everything. And I would film with a camcorder. And then one time I stopped filming. One of my friends from Pittsburgh, where I'm from, he would film with his iPhone, his little son just working out in the gym. So I was like, yo, that reminded me, you need to get your iPhone and film. So I started filming. And then this one dad was like, hey, you don't need your camcorder, because I had a camcorder again also. He said, I can do it. You can do it on your iPhone. I said, really? He said, yeah, just put iPhone, whatever, this iPhone app. So I do videos now in 5 minutes instead of waiting until I get home and it's 2 weeks later. So that was the advantage. Then when I got on IG, I could start seeing you, and I'm like, damn, that look like something I would do. The way he's talking hands, because I always teach hands.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Most coaches talk feet.
Right.
I said, listen, if you say feet, it's kind of like what I learned from my coach, Shamla. The eyes see a dog coming. You don't look at your feet and say feet. You see that big black dog about to bite us. By that time, it's too late. If you think eyes, your eyes will say danger and move, and your hands are the next extremity to your eyes. So if you move your hands, your feet will move automatically because they're slaves to the upper extremities.
Right.
So when you were saying hands, and I would say arms, I was like, well, yeah, hands too. So I started watching your videos, like, yo, I like the way he worked and he trained his guys. You know what I mean? And you trained it, even though to the naked eye, they probably think it's just organic movement. I said, no, but he teaches the movements that are needed to make the jump cut.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like, you know, watching your drills where you say arms.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, bro, he gets it, because your arms keep you in sync. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not in sync when you're running or you're doing a drill, you know, you got some people who do the same arm, same knee, and that drives me crazy. And I hate that, you know, because when you're running a ball, or when you're just a running back or just a pure running back and you're actually doing good, it's more like poetry in motion. You know what I mean? Like, it's like rhythm. It's like music. Like, you're in rhythm, because I use that terminology too. You got to get in rhythm, get in rhythm. And a lot of guys, they don't really understand it at the beginning, but then they kind of get it towards the end once they start, you know, getting in tune with their body and getting in sync.
Yeah. Well, as Black people, we've been fortunate enough to be around good athletes, but not every athlete is technically sound. So I always tell kids, it's not good enough to be fast. You have to look fast.
Yeah.
You have to look the part, because most coaches don't show up to your football game with a stopwatch. They ain't timing you. And when they watch you on film, if you look slow, you must be slow, because men are physical beings. When we see a beautiful woman, we say wifey. You know what I'm saying? That's how we think. So when we see an athlete who looks D1, we say 5-star. So if you look like a 5-star guy, you know, so I always tell my kids, you know, from my track background, you have to look like you're a sprinter. You have to look at fast. The reason we can't, as humans, we can't catch flies, because in our mind, we think flies are too fast to catch. You know what I mean? Because they move so quick. So I would tell them, to a defender, if you look fast and quick, you'll look too hard to catch to a defender.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I always tell them, it should always move. Your hands should move. If you're a running back, you should be a point guard.
Right.
Great runners are Allen Iverson. When you think about him breaking down, as soon as they go for the ball, they break for the ball, he's the other way. So I always tell kids, you have to think in means of being a really fast, quick, somebody who was in a phone booth and people couldn't touch you. You want to
Yeah.
be able to move fast
Yeah.
in short space.
Short, yeah, short phases. And that's why I like to tell my running backs,
Yeah,
you have to be, what is the terminology that I use, for lack of a better word, like your stop and go ability got to be on point. You know what I mean? If you're a running back, you got to be able to stop, go, turn, cut,
yeah,
plant, spin. So if you can't do that, I mean,
yeah,
it's gonna be very, very hard to be an effective running back. But I'm gonna capitalize on this. Now that we're talking about, when scouts come to your game and when they see you play ball and they're like, a 5-star. I know you do combine training, you know what I'm saying? Like we both do combine training. Let's talk about a little bit of how important that is, because now you really have to look 5-star or you first round.
not,
So
yeah.
so let's talk about the art of just performing and looking good and being a part of that interview process, for the NFL.
Well, I always tell them, like, now I always like the two guys I'm working with, Jamar Jefferson. He was nice at Oregon State. He was
Mhm.
dope. The other
Yes.
kid is Ben Mason. He's a big. He looked like he could be a tight end.
No,
Like
he's
he could be
huge.
a Chelsea type.
He's
But he
huge.
played fullback. He even played D tackle. The problem is when they go to these colleges, they train them like they already made it, like they
Right.
already got the yellow jacket. So they do stuff just to keep you polished. The
Right.
kids you and I work with are younger. They trying to get better than better. They ain't trying to stay polished because some of them trying to improve. So I always hate it if you watch sometimes in the pros, they do little highlights of their little practice and it look like they just jogging halfway through, halfway speed or
Right.
whatever. And I'm like, you can't get a kid better than that. But I get it. They want to keep them healthy or whatever. But most kids want to get better. Everybody just don't walk up Jim Brown. You know what I mean? They
Right.
want to
No.
get better.
No.
So my thing is with them, I was like, you got to be efficient. I mean, for combine, they're paying like $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
So you have to be technical. You can't just say line up and you know what to do. So we started from day one like they never played football.
Right.
And I always tell them I'm a big proponent of the big toe. The reason the big toe is important because the big toe is the biggest part on your feet, and it's what helps. And most sprinters, they already said, have usually a big toe because that's what propels the foot,
True.
the body foot
The last
backward.
thing to leave the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, so if your foot is dorsiflex, you want to push the ground behind you. So I always start with that. We do a lot of drills because a lot of kids get on their little toe, their pinky toe, and they lose their
Right.
balance. Usually that's how you twist your ankle. You know what I mean? And all kind of injuries. So we do a lot of stop, start drills, basic drills. Then we try to align that to fit the drills they have to do, which is mainly the two jump cut type of drills. A left one, they go always left. Then there's one they go, to the right. So we'll do that last, but we do a whole bunch of drills before. And a good friend of mine is Eric the enemy. I used to call him. He used to tell me what he thought the running back coaches and all the running back people involved wanted to see in the drill. So then I would take what he would tell me. I'll let him even talk to some of my kids so they knew, okay, this is what he wanted us to do. And
Right.
he would say, just do your drills, because I always thought my drills were harder. So
Yeah.
I figured I train you for a jump cut different type of ways. No matter what they do in the combine or no matter what they do on your pro day, you should be prepared. You know what I mean?
And I want to talk about that. I want to elaborate that because some people think when they hear jump cut, they just think that it's one way to do a jump cut.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple ways to do the jump
Yeah.
cut because I have my own terminologies. I have the
Yeah.
jump slip cut where you jump cut and you slip that inside foot, ahead of
Yeah.
it and you
Yeah.
stagger your feet. Then you have the base jump cut where you both feet jump to the side and land
Yeah.
at the same time. And then you do the behind the back jump cut where, if you're jump cutting to the right, this foot comes behind. And then
Yeah.
you have the jump back jump cut. And that's when both feet are planted. You jump back, let the defender
Yeah.
go by you, and then you run up. So
Yeah.
let's talk about more so of the progression. Like, how do you progress these guys from week one to week? I know you talked about it because like what I do is like I don't even start off with football bags. I start off with like the yellow skills hurdles,
Yeah.
and we just progress by week 3 and 4 and 5. Then we'll progress to the bigger bags. And I'm happy that
Yeah.
you said that you don't really do the combine drills. I do that like on day 1 and day 2 just so they can get familiar with it. Then we
Yeah.
fray away from it, and then
Yeah.
like probably like week 5, 6, and then week 6, 7, because we have an 8-week process. Then I'll kind of go back to those drills because
Yeah.
those drills are really super basic. I know they threw
Yeah.
that one drill in there last year. They named it out. What's my
Staley.
the Deuce Staley drill, which caught everybody off guard. And
Yeah.
what happened was when I seen that drill, nobody was
Why
moving
did it
their
catch them
arms.
off guard? Why did it catch them off guard? Because they weren't using their arms. They were stopping.
Exactly.
So day 2, last Thursday, because we go Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12 to 1.
Right.
We worked on that drill, and I started from the beginning. I started from the end of it, and like, okay, because the hard part isn't going forward. It's once they step over the bag and then try to step back.
Step back over,
We started from the step back, and I said, you got to move your arms. So sometimes I'll just have them stand still and don't move their feet, and just want to move. I said, think with your brain and move and send a signal to your arms. Forget your feet. Your feet, if your hands go high, your feet will go high. If you know what I mean, if your hands go short, your feet should go short. So I was like, so don't worry about feet. I hear a lot of coaches like feet, but to me, that's really different than how we would, if we knew biochemics or any kind of kinesiology, it's kind of totally opposite.
Right.
So they could always think with the brain and the hands.
Right.
Move the arms, keep the elbows 90 degrees, keep it close to your rib cage. So I basically started with that drill because when I seen it, my kid JJ, fortunately, he
killed it.
But here's the thing I hate about coaching. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh. I know our Steelers start off strong, but we finished whack. But he went to the Patriots. You cannot be a Patriot fan if you're from Pittsburgh, because we would have had 3 more Super Bowls if it wasn't for the quarterback and the Patriots. But I was like, JJ, I love you, man. We've been training since you was in 11th grade. I wish you the best of luck. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But he actually did really good in the drill because, you know, he was moving his arms. I was like, I said, move your arms. I'm like trying to give him ways. Please move your arms in this drill. So he did actually well. He didn't run a fast 40. That's kind of
twitchy. He's real twitchy.
Yeah, he's real. That's God given. All we do is basically give them a technique to polish it.
That's it.
We ain't gonna make you better. We ain't no hero. We just say, hey, listen, this can assist you, and technique will help you when you get slow. Like Michael Jordan, when he couldn't jump, he had that technique where he turned into Larry Bird.
That's right.
Yeah, so good fundamentals and technique will help you expand your career. When you're not fast no more, when you're not this, but you can still play because you're super smart. Right. So I always tell kids, let's work with the basics as a human. You should move your arms. So we do a lot of that. So first week, Thursday, we did pretty good. I'm writing right now what we're gonna do tomorrow because I always write down.
Right, you have to be organized.
Because you only got an hour. So and they already tired from working during their 40s and all that.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to waste no time. Mm-hmm. So when they get in, I'll send them tonight. This is what we do. They kind of already know what we're gonna do. Mm-hmm. So I'll get all that. So tomorrow's gonna be something totally different. I don't even think I'll do the Staley drill. I'm gonna just do quick reaction drills that's gonna be similar, just so they can say, oh, that Staley drill ain't nothing.
Right. You know what I mean? Right. And also let's talk about, the adjustments, you know what I mean? Like, because I know yesterday I had an athlete that I had to train up in Boca, and his, he's still getting in shape. Legs were done. And then we had limited amount of space because we were working inside of the facility this time. Yeah. So I said, so instead of me wanting to open up and run, I had to change that whole concept to a whole just like you said, a whole reaction drill where we just stayed really in a box. All I really needed was 5 by 5. And that's basically all we need. So a lot of people think that, oh, you know what I mean? Like training combine is cool. It's a lot of adjusting, And, because you may get one athlete who came in on day 1, then you get another athlete who went to a bowl game and he doesn't come in until week 3. So how do I, then I got to change this progression. Then I got to, modify this drill for him. Yeah. And then some guys come in with injuries. So everybody thinks it's so cool, all glam and glitz, but they don't understand, like, man, it's like, you really got to be on your P's and Q's, and you got to be able to accommodate everybody, because these guys will be quick to complain to their agents if the running back coach is not accommodating them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, funny thing about agent, the first year when I started training, the agent was like, was concerned because I guess I wasn't a big name that he heard of.
Yeah, I got that.
So they actually had, I forgot the running back coach. He used to coach he went to Temple, then he coached at USC. He's the one that got in trouble with Reggie Bush. So he was actually coaching, but he got a job at the Buccaneers to coach running back. So the agents were concerned because they didn't know who I was, but I was like, tell your agent I got you. Because I don't really want to train for just the combine. I want to train that after you make the team, you effectively help your team to get better, and then you can be as good as you can be. I don't want to just help you pass a test. Right. You know what I mean? So we did a whole bunch of drills, and he was like concerned. But then after I showed him I give him my highlights of the film, he was pretty cool with it because he didn't know me. But the thing is, you have to be organized. I don't care what you do. You have to be organized as youth coach, high school coach, college coach. So the more organized you are, the better you'll fit. So my first day, we were indoors. So everybody else moved outside. I told the guy, I said, listen, Sports Academy is a pretty big place, but like they have more basketball because it used to be the Mamba Academy
Of
before
course. Rest in
that.
peace.
They have it's more built for basketball. They
Hmm.
have a little tiny area for football, black little turf. So I was like, okay, how am I gonna do this? So I had to get reorganized. We got a lot of drills. So you just have to pick what drills can I do inside and here. And like you say, you really only running backs make their money 5x5.
Really?
Like even though they want you to be fast, but you can't be fast without no agility. Because if you fast and you run a 4.3, you only gonna run a 4.3 right into the wall. So at some point you're gonna have to step left, step right, and get back on track and then
Right.
score. So I like 5x5 drills. Most of my drills are like 5x5 in a real
Right.
short area
Right.
because when you think of Barry Sanders, you don't think of him running away. Most of the time he broke away, he got caught. He wasn't really super fast after
Right.
40 yards. He's fast in the first 40, but his
What he
100
did
meters.
before that.
Yeah. So he shake people, he break people ankles. So I'm always trying to tell people that's what you want. You want to be able to get upfield, make a move, get to the second level. After you
Yes.
get to the second level, if you can outrun people, that's fine. But there's a lot of kids who never get to the second level. We
Right.
know a lot of fast guys who don't do well in football just because they have one long stride, they can't cut, they'll stop their feet, then they have to readjust like they're getting back into drive phase and getting down in 3-point and it's
Yeah.
sprinter stance. So I tell people you have to be quick 5x5.
Right.
You know what I mean? I even sometimes say 4x4 because that's
Yeah.
what you want. You want to be able to make
Yeah.
moves, make
And
the jump cut, make the linebacker, then make the linebacker miss.
yeah.
And
We can even say 3x3. You know, we
yeah,
can even go as short as 3x3. But you know, I got two more questions for you, Coach. Let's talk about more so of you know, just talking to the athletes, getting to know them. You know what I'm saying? Because you
yeah,
know, it's not always just training. You know, because we're
yeah,
new to them. They're probably in a different environment. You know what I mean? Because I know you know, three of the athletes I work with, none of them are from Florida. You know, all of them from around the way. You know, and I just
yeah,
found out that, you know, one of my running backs, you know, he likes to, you know, do dirt bikes and just things
yeah.
outside of that. So what are some of the conversations that you have, you know, with them just to kind of, you know, to break that mold? Because a lot of these guys are big time guys and they've been treated like royalty.
Yeah.
So when they come see guys like us, they're like, you know what I mean? You know, so how do you break that mold, you know, right off
Well,
the
I
bat?
mean, just letting them know who you are, and then they're like, okay, so the one kid, Ben Mason, he's all over from Connecticut. I didn't even
Right.
know he was from Connecticut, but I had posted one of his videos
Mhm.
on a Facebook group, and they hit him back. And
Yeah.
one of them said, "Hey, I know him. He's from Connecticut." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yeah.
Then the next day, he said, "Coach, you must be popular because one of his boys hit him and was like, yo, I go on Coach Ayinde's website all the time." I was like, tell him thank you or whatever.
Right.
But you just got to get to know the kids. Like now, I'm back into producing because you know football out here is delayed. So I got bored. I bought me a drum machine, another Kaya Live too. So I'm like, yo, listen to you young people. I know y'all into that mumble rap. I'm really on some, you know, different type of style, but the music kind of similar. So I play on music and they hit me back and they critique it, let me know. And then sometimes you can talk about life. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, we working out. Of course, there's women who work out. So there was one woman who looked like she was really fit. We all looked and they was like, Coach, I said, I know that ain't professional, but I'm just saying, I ain't say nothing. But we start talking about, listen, don't ever get distracted because a lot of kids
right.
get
Took it as
distracted
opportunity. Yeah.
because you got access to money, you young, now you meet
That's what's
women,
up.
everybody gonna come at you. I said, you have to discern who is the best for you. If they're not going your direction, don't you turn and go to their direction because
Right.
get caught up. I said,
Right.
you know, and of course, if you have to pay child support, it don't matter what money you make because you done got 9 kids, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I was like, so before you get into that life, make sure that you choose right decisions. It ain't easy because you 21, 22.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the last thing I tell them is like, always, you got an iPhone, always get on camera and interview yourself. Learn how to speak in front of the camera.
Right.
Because people will want to hire you to sell their
Put money
products,
behind you.
work on ESPN or whatever. You could be a newscaster or whatever. But work around being football. Football, you can only play for a short while.
Yeah.
Running backs, what expectancy is 3 to 5 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can do a lot of things while you're doing this football. Because football, you work out for 2 hours and then you go whatever. When the season is longer, but during workout season, you get 2 hours in. You got the rest of your life to do something to solidify your career. You know what I mean? So I always try. You get a chance. We are fortunate that they look up to us sometimes before they look up to the parents. Because you know you have parents be like, I tried to tell him, but you tell him he listened.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
get that all the time, man. With dudes, I'll tell a kid something, and the dad will be like, I had to tell him the same thing. But you know what? The one thing I appreciate about us, and I'm sorry for cutting you off.
no, that's okay.
What we do is we allow dads to be dads. And I talk to
Yeah,
this about my partner all the time. My partner Travis Harmon. He's a sports psychologist actually.
yeah,
And what we do is we allow. It's like, look, man, let me take care of the on the field stuff, because what they try to do is they try to coach the kid on the field and be the parent. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, give that kid, let your son become to you for about dad stuff. You know what I mean? And he can come to
yeah,
us about coach stuff. That way that relationship won't get tainted. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, and that's very, very dope what you said about that. And I just want to talk one more thing before we let these things go. Um, you know, tell me about, the whole after process, about when you um when you get with a kid, and then he's already made it, like, what is that whole process, once he goes to his pro day, what is that process like after, once he does his pro day, he does good or he does bad? What have you ever experienced that?
Well, I mean, with JJ, he was kind of upset. Mind you, he's 5'5", but he's super quick in his. He only ran a 4.64. I said, hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You did really good in your drills. So what happened is he didn't get drafted, but he got signed to the next day to the Patriots.
Right.
And I gave him the Patriots. Oh, I hate the Patriots.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't, but I don't hate. I support you. So I just tell him you still have to stick, because what kids want to do is party. They want to spend money they don't have yet. I'm saying, listen, you have to still stay hungry on that track.
Right.
Remember, you didn't play. You're not playing football to play football. You have other things you want to do. I always tell kids, buy my house, meaning I want them to have that mentality, like it ain't for you. Because sometimes if you just do it for you, you can slack up because you don't want to do it. I said, no, you're doing it for everybody involved who's
Right.
attached to you, everybody who really helped you, every coach, every uncle, every auntie who helped your mom deliver you to practice, or your dad.
Yeah.
I said, so you have to remember it's bigger than you. Not only are you doing it for you, one day you're going to have a kid. One day you're going to have to tell your kid if they want to drop out of whatever, and you're going to say, hey, you can't quit. You got to stay on it and tell them, look what got me. So it's always bigger. So I always tell kids now, it's important because all these people have seen you on TV. There's going to be some wolves coming after you. So you have to stay on your track, stay on the path. Don't, you tell a kid, hey, go get some now laters, bring back my dollar. But that kid that don't bring back your dollar, your change, and he wobbles off and he going somewhere else. I said, don't be that kid who wobbles off, stays off track. Because I got a lot of kids, unfortunately, who got off track.
Right.
And I tell them, I said, so everything you've done got you to this point.
Yeah.
All you need to do is stay on that track and improve some things, and you'll be okay. You know what I mean? So that's the main thing. Like I said, you and I both been blessed to be around a lot of talented kids, but we also been around a lot of kids who aren't as talented.
Right.
But
right.
I like the kids who aren't as talented, but they work hard.
Yeah,
so I always,
man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell kids, you're a 5-star, you're going to the pros, you need to work like you are the saddest guy on the field.
Right.
Like you're on the bench. I want you to work that hard because you always want to improve. You might get 1,000 yards the first year, but then it's like, okay, you got 1,000 yards. You want 1,500. You want to keep up in the bar and get better. You got 10 touchdowns. You got to work hard like you want 20 touchdowns. Don't just keep settling, because next there's always some other 5-star coming.
Right.
There's always somebody dope coming behind you, chasing you. So you either gonna get passed up, or you're gonna keep your distance and keep getting as good as you can.
Yeah, I usually call it like, keep cutting you off. I'm sorry, Coach, because it's such a good subject.
I'm just happy to be on the show, man.
No, I hear you. No, I just had to get this off because I knew I was gonna forget it. But I call it a healthy paranoia. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I say healthy paranoia, it's basically like you're not paranoid in such of a bad way, but it's like, you know what, man, like I gotta get out here and I gotta work. I gotta do what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a little bit of taste of success, so I gotta get back out there. You know what I mean? I gotta be able to stick with the best, especially if you're not that guy, because you get some guys who could just hop off the porch and run 4,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? But you got some other guys who run, who have to really, really work for that 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? Like when I used to in high school, my goal was 2,000, 1,000. I touched that at my sophomore year, so I was like, I'm 2,000. So that allowed me to have that healthy arrogance or healthy paranoia to be like, you know what, I got to get to 2,000, because obviously I was vertically challenged too, so I had to do more than the next man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, that's what I love about those kids who are, I love underdogs and I love little backs because, they have to do a lot more just to kind of get that look, because I'll go on recruiting 247 and I see a kid who's a 4-star and I compare films because I do the reaction film, and I see a kid who's a 2-star and I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, like,
Yeah.
we have a kid named Donovan Jones down here. This kid is a stud. Yeah, he's not the biggest back, but the kid
Yeah.
can catch, he can run, he's swift, he's smooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Giovanni Bernard. And it's like
Yeah.
this kid, he's going to Gardner Webb, and Gardner Webb got a steal, a big
Yeah.
time steal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So nothing
Yeah.
against them. But I'm just saying, as far as like having that dog in you and being able to,
Yeah.
say, you know what, I got to keep up with the upper echelon.
Well, I mean, I like that term, paranoia, you said, because you should always be in fear that somebody's going to beat you. If you walk
Right.
around thinking you're the best, it's never going to work. Here's a funny thing, right? I'm a little older than you. I ain't going to say how much older, but I grew up in the era where dark skin wasn't always the flavor of choice
Understood. I get that.
when it come to women.
Hmm.
So the rest of my life, even though all of a sudden they like dark skinned bald headed men, I still always, my mentality was you just couldn't walk in the room and expect
Right.
girls to say, oh, he's so beautiful, I want him. My mentality was always to make sure I was that type of person who was a good guy, who was a gentleman, who whatever. I never wanted to say, I'm never going back to them days. I was a hex, no, I'm not going back. So as an athlete, you should always feel you was a bench warmer, you know what I mean? And you're never
Right.
going back. And I should always be scared that you don't want somebody to take your job. Because I've seen 5-stars lose their jobs to 3-stars.
Right.
Think about it. What's the running back for George? Well, he plays for Cleveland. I can't even think of his name. Number 27.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank.
Maybe because he
Kareem
ran over.
Hunt. Kareem Hunt.
No, not 27. The other running back, the one that got hurt. Webb.
Yeah. No, Chuck.
No, not Webb. Damn. Anyway, he was a 4-star, and then what's the name from Florida? What's the one kid's name? He's a Patriot running back. He was a 5-star. He was a 5-star.
Mhm.
Like from 8th grade, they was like he's the top running back.
Yeah,
They
Sonny
both-
Michel. Mhm.
Sonny Michel. They both went to Georgia, but who was the starter?
Yeah.
You know what I
Sonny.
mean?
Yeah.
Sony. No, Sony wasn't a starter.
Yeah. Chubb was started.
Chubb. So the point is, nobody knew who Chubb was.
Yeah.
We all knew Sony was. So my thing, I coach a kid named TJ Pledger. He just transferred to Utah from Oklahoma.
Oh,
I used to tell him he was super nice, and aesthetically, it's always that type of running back we like. So aesthetically, if you look right and you quick, fast, they always say you're good. Now we had another kid who was a little bit bigger. He was like 6 foot 215, and I used to say they don't know you that, but I said Sony and Chubb. I was like, here's the thing. If you work hard, you can be just as good. You never can say, oh, I don't want it, because you got kids who are afraid to be better than that person. You know what I mean? Like I had teammates, and I was like, you can be just as good as him, but you act like there's some kind of force shield that won't let you get better. I was like, you got to keep trying, and you got to work. So I always tell kids, until you get a yellow jacket, you are working.
Yeah.
You're going as hard as you can. You do everything you can. I hate when kids want to chill, you know what I'm saying, and relax, you know what I mean? And I was like, because somebody in some small city, some ain't even a city, is working hard. You sitting there chilling. I had a kid be on Facebook. He taking pictures with kids, chicks and stuff. I'm like, yo, when we gonna work? Oh yeah, I got you, coach. But we ain't work. So then 4 years later, now he worried about trying to go to the draft.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that 4 years, you could have really got better working out, and then you wouldn't even have to worry like you worry about now. You stressed out. So you have to be paranoid.
Yeah.
Because somebody's coming.
Yeah.
Nobody, somebody, listen, whoever was before Barry Sanders didn't know Barry Sanders was coming. But Barry was coming. You know what I'm saying? Barry had a dad who told him, you ain't Jim Brown, and you only gonna be such a height. And Barry was like, I kept working. You know what I mean? Right. Then the next great running back, he was worried about who might be coming behind him. So I always tell kids, you have to work. Academically, same thing. Always be like, I'm tired of, I got a C. What is a C? You ain't gonna tell people, yeah, I had an average football game. You gotta work. Right. So academically and athletically, you have to make sure you are on your A+ game. You can't just be a B student. Nobody wants to be a B athlete, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to be a B student. You gotta be AAA and make it happen. And then because before it's bigger than just you.
Right.
You. Some of these kids are the first to ever go to college in their family.
Right.
But then they might can have their own family and everybody go to college because
Right.
they all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
They broke the
that's what
generational curse. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I tell people. I said, so it's bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? So don't ever think that I'm chilling. You know, I know how it is. You want to come home and see all the ladies from college and or they see you on the highlights from your combine training. I said, but when you get home, you got to work.
Right.
You don't know what team is going to draft you. You don't know what system you're going to be in. But if you work, you can fit in any system pretty much. You know what I mean? So
well,
make
like
sure.
I say,
Yeah.
like I say, y'all heard it for Coach Ayinde. Hey, but before this video shut off on us, because usually we only have about 40 minutes. Man, this thing can kind of go on. Coach, we're gonna do a part 2. We definitely gonna do a part 2.
Yeah.
But you know, like I say, you got Run the Daylight, you got Running Back Academy, man. Basically just kind of give you a summary of what we talked about. You know, combine ain't all glam and glitz. You know what I mean? And if you really want to be a good, decent running back, you got to be able to make people miss, and you got to be in sync. You know, and last but not least, man, make sure you always working, get the healthy paranoia, just like Coach say, and just make sure that you don't get complacent, man. You always got to stay on your A game. But outside of that, you know, Coach, do you want to say anything else before we close out? Got about 10 seconds.
All I gotta say is run to daylight.
Now y'all see why I love this guy. Hey, Coach, I really appreciate you for jumping on the Running Back Academy podcast, man. Thank you for joining us. Always love, brother.
Definitely.
All right,
One.
Brother. Yep.